Welcome everybody to another edition, the second edition that is, of How Did This Get Booked? I, of course, am Jake Manning, and I am joined, as usual, with my tag team partner, stablemate, best friend, fellow bike gang member, Zane Riley.
And we're back in the season for biking.
Yes.
Jake, how are you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for joining me. But we're not alone on this journey through subpar wrestling events. We are joined, as usual, with a non-wrestling fan, but a very funny person, no less. A fellow improviser, writer, production assistant, probably. In Paige VanTassell.
Hello.
You know, me and Paige have known each other for probably almost a year now.
Just
doing improv and stuff like that. So I appreciate you not knowing me all that much, but still subjecting yourself to what you will be in store with today, which is a fun and interesting conversation about the WCW Classic pay-per-view Halloween Havoc 95. Little backstory on this pay-per-view, at least from a personal perspective. As a young kid, I was, of course, a fan of both WWE and WCW in 1995, which was actually probably the critical low point for both of them. But I was a huge fan, and I remember vividly begging my parents to order Halloween Havoc 95. I was like, please, can we just get Halloween Havoc 95? Because I'd been getting in your houses and they were $15. This one was like a $34 pay-per-view. Wow. My parents wouldn't let me spend the money on it, and they wouldn't, lend me the money to do it. But looking back on it, I think they made the better decision. But anyways, a little bit of information about the event. It took place on October 29th, 1995. It took place at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan, in front of an audience of 13,000 people. Big main event.
Something.
A big main event, which was a little confusing, was the Giant versus Hulk Hogan, but they spent more time hyping the Monster Sumo Truck Challenge than they ever did the wrestling match. So, Paige, right off at the top, I must ask you, being a person who works in production.
Yes.
What do you think of that production video recap? What version of After Effects do you think they used on that intro video?
I just thought it was like all clip art. That was and it's so hard to distinguish what 1995 is to blame for and what wrestling. I don't know wrestling.
That's the thing. I felt the same way too. It was like, was this bad or was this just 1995?
Exactly. So it's hard to tell.
I thought it was awesome.
Because there were several references in there of like about not having cell phones or something like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of brings it back to it. I'm like, why doesn't somebody call this person? And like,
but they did have cell phones back in 95. I looked it up just for a reason later on in the show.
Yes, there's actually two reasons to look them up and arise. But anyways, as far as the very beginning, like I said, I think it might have been Video Toaster. I don't know. They go after that intro video, then they cut right to a monster truck warm-up, joined in progress of them going back and forth, which we know now because of internet. They recorded the monster truck part the night before, so they can just splice in those clips.
Tricky.
Whenever they wanted, which also makes sense why all of a sudden Hulk Hogan's in the Joe Louis Arena and then back up at Cobo Hall and then back down again. But anyways, we start off with the beginning, and me and Paige were just talking before you got here, Zane, about Bobby the Brain Heenan. In the intro, after they give the whole rundown, Tony Schiavone makes a point of bringing up a certain meeting with Bobby the Brain Heenan and some guy eating sushi.
I wrote that down. It's the weirdest shit.
Yeah, why would you bring that up in the intro of everything?
Because Bobby just made the Friends with Friends comment, made the show reference, and then
so nice.
Schiavone was like, speaking of playing with friends, I'd like to ask you why you've been eating sushi. We'll get back to that later. They never come back to it. Like, it never comes back full circle. And what the fuck does that mean?
Well, they did. They said that they brought it up later in the show. Since we're already at this point, we might as well discuss it, even though it happens a little bit later. They discuss it, that he was sitting down with a Japanese businessman, and it was a lot of, like, innuendo just sliding in, like he gave you a business envelope. What was that about? Like a lot of big stuff.
With me, it's always business, but it's none of your business. And I was like, oh shoot, Bobby.
Get him. Bobby's got that sass.
They brought it up, but there was no payoff of it. I was like, was this like some sort of thing where Sonny Ono came out and did some business, some bit with Bobby?
You're hanging out with Kurosawa? Is that what it was?
Yeah, exactly.
You're hanging out with Kurosawa.
That was the only
More
Japanese
low-key racism.
It would have made more sense if you walked to the ring and like helped Kurosawa win, but that didn't happen whatsoever. Anyways, I find it funny now that you look back at the card. You know, the undercard, the pre-show
was
match,
fucking stacked,
unbelievable. You had Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Paul Orndorff,
Disco Inferno.
Yeah, Disco Inferno. But the Blue Bloods and William Regal. Mm-hmm. Blue Bloods versus Benoit and Malenko. Like, that match had to have been better than
There was literally 8 other matches on the show that match would have been better than.
Yes, for sure. And I would be remiss if we didn't bring that up. Also, Craig Pittman versus VK Wall Street.
I went to school with Craig Pittman's son. At least he said he was his son. I mean, I believed him because if you're going to choose a wrestler to lie about, why would you choose Craig Pittman?
Yeah.
But I always, when we first talked about how we liked wrestling, it's like, oh, Craig Pittman's my dad. Wow, that's awesome. Nowadays, not so awesome. But at the time, I was like, this kid's the coolest kid alive.
My brother apparently went to middle school with Ric Flair's son, which I didn't know until I was like, have you guys heard of Ric Flair? To my parents. And they're like, yeah. Your brother had a tattle on his son one day because they got in a fight in the locker room.
Big surprise!
What a narc your brother is.
Big surprise. But before we tear into this page, I must ask, and I completely forgot, like, what's your exposure to pro wrestling other than your brother knowing Ric Flair?
Which I didn't even know before, yesterday. Zero. Like, I know it through references, like... I got a Scrubs reference after watching this, so I was really excited about. And Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, someone gets diagnosed with Hulkamania.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
that's
like a good show.
It's so good. That's like all I got. I got cultural references to it, never the actual.
So this is your first wrestling show.
I know Brooke Hogan had a reality TV show at one point.
Okay, so that is your entire wrestling knowledge.
Never ate a Slim Jim. No,
really. Wow. Like I said, so this is your first full show you've sat down and watched.
Yes.
And we have picked a doozy for sure.
Yep.
So anyway,
was it a good one?
Tearing in right away, we have Johnny B. Bad versus Diamond Dallas Page.
Best promo of all time. Where we go back to the whole thing about cell phones.
Yes, now we get to the part with the video recap with how this match came about. Zane, would you like
Johnny
to
B. Bad, biggest match of his career. He was going to be the television champion. He was going to wrestle Sting for the TV title.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. title.
U.S. title. Okay.
This match is for the TV
he beat
title.
Paige for them. Okay, I guess I could have wrote that down. So U.S. title, and his music plays. He doesn't make it, but the importance of the match, they push the match back just a little while longer. Still, no Johnny B. Bad. So they let Brian Pillman take his place against Sting. But before the show ends, Johnny B. Bad makes it to the studio. He had a flat tire.
Mm-hmm. He had 4 flat tires.
Wait a minute! I never said anything about 4 flat tires! And then proceeds to throw the worst punch that has ever occurred.
Ever. Which I did a little bit of research in this. This angle has been done before and been done on Georgia Championship Wrestling, which is what WCW was before. So basically, to kind of in a layman's terms to explain it, it's basically like somebody just did an old Honeymooners episode and just redid it on Friends or whatever.
More
like
Friends.
Same exact. everything and verbatim for sure, and same punchline at the end. It's basically what they did. It was a Freebird angle involving Austin Idol and Kevin Sullivan. The entire thing with the big punch. But we bring up about cell phones. They're like, why didn't you call anybody?
I don't have a cell phone.
Where the thing is, like,
if I had a phone, I would call.
Exactly, and that's the thing is that, like, you can't do that angle today because, like, we have no idea where he is. We have no idea where he is. We have no idea. You text now. You can Snapchat. And, hey, 4 flat tire. Now you can check his. You can check his Twitter feed. Whoops! Look like it's a bad day.
Well, we blew all the jokes in the first match.
That was good.
Felt real good.
Felt real good. Paige, what did you think of Diamond Dallas Page's outfit for this match at Halloween Havoc?
All I can say is that I think RuPaul, if you guys know RuPaul, the drag queen, would say, like, honey, it's just, like, a little bit too much. Tone it down a smidge, Diamond. I've never seen a grown man dressed in that tight pink sequined, just all of it. It was glorious. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
For sure.
Diamond Dick Page.
Yes.
Has a nice diamond on his junk and his bum. So awesome. But then it's followed with Johnny B. Bad.
Yes.
So, I mean, what would RuPaul say about Johnny B. Bad if he just said that to Diamond Dallas Page?
I know. I wrote that down and I was like, this really could be said about everybody in this match.
Yeah, it just continues.
in this whole program.
And then, of course, the intro shenanigans, the
With
fake
the-
Johnny B. Bad coming out and then coming through the crowd. I wonder who the extra was
Yes!
that did that.
Hope I don't fall. Hope
it was
I don't
Zodiac.
fall.
Yeah.
It was Beefcake. He was just hanging out.
Well, it could
Yeah,
have been
shit else
Beefcake,
to do.
or it might have been Disco Inferno.
Might have
you know?
been. He wasn't doing anything at that time.
Yeah, he'd already had his match with Eddie Guerrero. It's feel pretty good. Hey, Disco, you want to be on the big show?
Sure.
How good are you at walking backwards?
Damn it! You had me.
Also, in the midst of the entire match, I don't spend a lot of time critiquing it too deeply, but a random bucket sitting at ringside.
Yeah, what? Spit bucket.
Just
It
a
is.
random spit bucket, like that people
He
in
put it over his
Yeah,
head.
hit over his head. Just
Right.
random people in Detroit that got to spit
Very-
in a bucket.
Very nice
Just
Three
in case.
Stooges moment.
It's a Detroit thing.
Yeah, yeah.
We got buckets.
They got just
Buckets everywhere. And then Tony Schiavone goes, call him Buckethead.
Like, that was so
Get
clever.
out of here, Tony Schiavone.
Yes. And, of course, dating it so much, Heenan snuck in a Menendez brothers joke. How fantastic was that?
What about Nick Patrick's sweet-ass mullet?
He looks just like Danny McBride in
Doesn't
Eastbound and Down.
He sure does.
Never thought about that,
Yes,
but yes, it does.
Just
So much.
like him.
Oh my gosh, the mullets. So good. But there's so much hair pulling in this, and I'm like, then why don't you guys just cut off your mullets? That would decrease that factor so much.
That's why
Shave your heads like a real man.
That's why Stone Cold was so successful and Goldberg was so successful.
Never
there was no hair pulling.
Goldberg was undefeated forever.
It's
Exactly.
the key.
We
It's
could
the
pull his
key.
hair. But anything else we need to discuss with this Johnny B. Bad?
How sweet ass Johnny B. Bad's entrance music is, because it literally just like explains what is like his entire being of like kind of looks like Little Richard. Like it was real like. In case you don't know who he is, we'll clear it up in song for you.
Yeah. Exactly. Like a lot of the music they use throughout this thing is either like generic stock footage, or it's like man called Sting. His name is Sting.
He goes by Sting.
Sting's on his birth certificate. Like it's just beat it over the head. It's either like
Sting.
just play whatever
that's like
generic
sing-along
thing that's on a
chorus.
Ford commercial,
Yeah.
or just put his name in there like 30 times. You know.
The crowd could not have given a shit less about this match, shown by the fact that every time DDP tried to get a chant going, hoping they would cheer for Johnny B. Bad, no one gave a shit. And it's just Max Muscle and time going, DDP, for minutes upon minutes on end. Ugh.
Which luckily they were able to avoid, but you could kind of see it in the video recap beforehand. Max Muscles,
Mass Muckles, guys.
Max Muscles like moose knuckle that he had going on those shorts. Luckily they avoided for the actual big show, but you can catch
They
a
gave him
small
the check.
glimpse of it. Like So
I have a question.
please.
What is Bobby's deal with Diamond Doll?
Oh.
He hates her. Quote unquote, she may be beautiful, but there's nothing happening between them ears.
Spoken like a true man of the 90s.
She was a Jezebel. She was creeping behind Diamond Dallas Page's back, cheering for Johnny
She
B.
was.
Bad, giving him tens. How dare she?
Giving him 10.
There's some issues at home.
A
I guess.
harlot.
Yeah. Give Johnny B. Giving him 10s must be like Bay liking Instagram
Yep.
pictures.
Thumbs up that shit.
Exactly. Anyways, we thoroughly cover this one. Any
Yeah.
more questions? We're ready to move on to the hype, which continues throughout.
Are you ready to start going downhill from this point? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
like the hype for the Sumo Monster Truck battle. Like the hype for this thing, just like anytime there's a spare moment, or like Bobby the Brain isn't cutting a genius joke. Like, let's talk about this monster truck sumo wrestling thing that we got going on, more so than the match. Like, if you like just listen to it, you'd think that they're just doing battle in sumo trucks, and that's all.
it.
That's the main event.
You're at a Monster Jam, and there's just a bunch of drag queens running around doing drag queen things.
Just on and on about this sumo monster truck thing. And the thing is, I had to look it up. The Giant hadn't wrestled a match.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
this was
Like that. This is his debut match.
yeah.
It's main event of pay-per-view against world champion Hulk Hogan. Like, we can only be so lucky that Paul White actually loved professional wrestling as much as he did and worked at it as hard as he did and dedicated himself to it. Because if he just did this pay-per-view and then flaked out like a year or two later, this would be the greatest blunder story in the history of professional wrestling. Because I did the research on it. Giant Paul White, they found him at like a charity basketball game.
Really?
And Hulk Hogan liked the way that he warmed up the crowd. Like, he worked the crowd and like, oh, we need to sign this guy.
What a discovery.
It's
And then
gonna
they
make me look great one day.
And they basically
Sign him.
signed him on the spot, and then they just put him into this whole angle.
Oh my goodness.
He was Andre the Giant's son.
Yeah,
Yes.
I looked that up. And I was like, is that true?
No, it was not. And it was shortly after that kind of dissipated.
Yeah.
But just the whole, this is Andre's son. Like,
Because they're both giants.
Was that a,
The giant is their last name.
exactly.
Yes, the Giant. Let's meet the Giants.
Meet the Giants. I'd watch that show.
Meet the Giants,
Yeah.
starring Paul White. Well, he's got to have a secondary career.
Yeah, you know, something to fall back on.
Exactly.
Well, he had that Knuckleheads movie where he was in a movie. He's already done his.
Okay,
his
so he's
film
got
career.
IMDb credits.
Yeah,
doing
he's
all right.
up there.
But, anyways, moving on to match 2. The Zodiac
Whoa.
versus Macho Man Randy Savage. And the Zodiac coming to you from the land of yin and yang. Now, the Zodiac, if you don't know, Paige, is actually Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
I did not know that.
Did not know that, and you may not even
Great
know.
And still
alliteration.
don't.
And still don't know who that is.
Still no idea what you're talking about.
Still who knew to talk about it. But the fact that, you know what, in 1988, I didn't want to see Macho Man Randy Savage versus the Brutus the Barber Beefcake, nor did I want to see it in 1995. But apparently they put it out there, and
Yeah, it's a thing that happened in the world.
it's a thing that happens in the world. And this is match to decide who's going to go on and wrestle either Ming or Lex Luger to have a world title shot. Of course, Macho Man Randy Savage, no Miss Elizabeth. At this time, that's why he was hollering at bitches on the way to
Yep.
the ring.
Giving them air kisses and what have you.
Saw that.
You know,
And that is the highlight of the match.
not necessarily,
His
my
entrance.
friend. Not necessarily. We have a fan run in on this match, if you remember.
Yep.
Yes, I was looking down right at the time.
You definitely looked down at the time because there was. What did you think when you saw this?
I was just like, well, there's a random chick in the ring. And I was literally because then she was gone.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Because the protocol when a fan hits the ring is not put attention on them because it would just, if you put the focus on them, that would be more of an attraction for people to do on a regular face. Oh, I got my face on TV. I was the fan that run in. So
Makes sense.
they try and cut that as much. That's why even when they were cheering that they got him out of the ring, Bobby the Brain Heenan was like, oh, they're really cheering for Macho Man on this one. When they're cheering that they got that asshole out of the ring. But like two pros, Brutus and Barber Beefcake and Macho Man just go straight to the
Kept
floor.
going.
You have a real loose definition of pros when talking about beefcake.
But the thing is, though, I because I know my wrestling history, I was like, oh, is this the night that like Stevie Richards debuted to set up Raven? Like, I thought it was Stevie Richards from ECW fame, but then I was like, no, that's ridiculous. And then I was like, no, this is just the fan that ran it. But regardless of that, also too, this match was supposed to be with Kamala, another match I didn't want to see in 1998. But
Kamala just didn't want to do the job.
that's what I had to think of. The reason that they changed it because Kamala just didn't want to do the job. But very quick. Not a very impressive elbow drop off the top.
No.
Hulk just
feet first.
I mean, Macho Man just kind of landed feet first and then just fell on him.
Yeah.
That's good enough. Good enough for Zodiac.
Call it a day.
Call it a day. Good enough. Clean and we got it.
I'll get the good one second time round. Spoiler alert.
Moving right along to the backstage segment with Mean Gene Okerlund. Of course, talking about the hotline. Can we talk about wrestling hotlines for just a brief moment?
We can. I mean, she can listen.
No,
I'm
but
gonna listen. And
But no,
laugh.
I want to talk about it with you, like the idea of like I've got some important information, but I can't tell you on this television screen. I can only tell you over a phone, where you have to pay me $1.50 a minute.
$1.50 a minute.
What are they calling in to talk to the I was confused. Talk to the wrestlers?
No, just listen to
Yeah.
like whatever he has to say. Like
It's like a recording of
Yeah,
him
like a
telling them
different
like a
news story,
secret.
yeah, tell him like a secret.
Yeah.
Like I cheated on my wife, and then like hang up. Is that like the?
Yeah, exactly what it is.
I know something now.
Yeah,
He's a piece of shit.
it's basically like wrestling's version of Whispers. You know?
It's like if Tiger Beat had a phone line that you could call and find out
If
about
only, right?
JTT's backstage shenanigans or what Devin Sawa was
He
up
eats
to.
Cheerios before every performance.
Yeah,
I eat cereal.
but
We're
yeah.
exactly alike.
But I just
All
love how they hype it up. Like, this is important information, and you have to know about it, but you have to call in. That's like Tom Brokaw being on the NBC Nightly News. Like, I have very important information, but you have to call in for $1.50 a minute to get this information. But,
And the recording is 10 minutes long, so you
It's
better
a-
stay on the whole time.
It's about a terrorist cell that we can't talk about here, but you can call in and listen.
Especially if you live in these areas.
Yep.
but hotlines were big money.
Yeah.
Like there were guys that I think that worked at WCW towards the end where people were like, oh, we can't really pay you. We have to restructure your contract. And then like, oh, no, please just give me the hotline money.
Yeah.
Because it was that big of a moneymaker.
Wow.
So like it was, you know, we laugh about it, but people made money off of it.
So back in '95, you could really get the hotline bling.
Yeah, you could get the hotline bling.
Oh.
Man, we are killing all these jokes in the
Cultural
first 20 minutes of
reference.
this podcast.
Thank you, Drake. Where would we be without him?
Shout out to Drake. I almost said
And Jake.
And Jake.
Shout out to you, buddy.
All the aches.
All the aches.
And the pains. God damn it. Killing it. Just go ahead and call it a day right there.
Wrap, folks.
Right there.
All right.
Da, 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 da.
Moving right on to match number 3. Kurosawa versus Road Warrior Hawk. And Kurosawa being brought to the ring by Colonel Robert Parker.
Is there something like kind of racist here?
Kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of.
I just
It's racist, you know, on the lines of like blackface, or if you call that racist, yeah.
also can I just say, as this match started, Bobby and Tony were talking. Bobby started choking on smoke. Tony said, "Well, take a drink of water," and Bobby goes, "Water's not good for you." And then started the match. And I was like, "What?" I just heard that right? So I rewound, listened again.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You didn't say that.
All right. Anyways,
That's why he's Bobby the Brain Heenan. He can
Bobby
say what
the
he
Brain.
wants.
Genius.
he's my favorite.
Genius.
He's
Oh
my
yeah,
favorite.
he's 9 times out of 10 the best part of any show.
Phenomenal.
Especially this one.
Exactly. So, thoughts, concerns, questions?
Concerned it went so fucking long. It was real awkward there at the end. Like, the finish was real awkward. Like, there was a bunch of, like, weird stares. Like, I know it was a sneak pin and a win kind of thing out of nowhere for Kurosawa. But it still just looked like somebody was off of, like, point. Like, maybe he accidentally counted.
Yeah.
So, yeah, nothing. No one. Okay. Just me. And Bobby the Brain talks about how Richard Petty gave Colonel Parker that hat. And I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
It could be plausible.
It could be.
And then again, I'm sorry, Bobby. This is so funny.
Please.
After Hawk hits Kurosawa, Bobby says he sounds like a fat guy sitting on a beanbag. Where did he come up with this stuff?
I know.
Oh,
The brain.
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Ooh, I thought that Road Warrior Hawk was like a ripoff of Mad Max, maybe?
It is.
They were.
Is it?
Yeah, because he was a part of a tag team called the Road Warriors.
Get that reference.
Yes.
We're back in.
I'm back, you guys.
Yes.
So many things have made sense now.
All right.
But yeah, they were huge in the 80s, and I believe this was a time when Animal was hurt, maybe collecting the Lloyds of London insurance checks.
Oh, yeah.
So Hawk was by himself at this time. But anyways, we get through this one, onto another backstage interview with Mean Gene Okerlund and Macho Man Randy Savage. But they spend more time hyping the monster truck than they do anything else. But classic Macho Man line of "Curiosity killed the cat," line that most people know from the rap remixes that they put together. So Paige, this is your first exposure to Macho Man in his prime and what made him the legend that he is. What are your thoughts on Macho Man's interview?
This is where I was like, oh my gosh, I get that Scrub reference where JD is like, and I'm gonna break him because I'm the intern. I was like really excited that I'm like, oh my god, I get a reference from this. I thought it was kind of mean to go after Gene's mustache like that.
Yeah.
Like, was that really necessary?
Which, Gene's mustache was awesome.
On point.
Yeah,
It
Macho
was
Man.
great.
Not a hair out of place. And being a mustache man myself, I know that is a very difficult thing to do. It takes a lot of time. So big ups to him.
Yeah. My other thought was that maybe his neighbors probably wouldn't like living next to him, Macho Man, because he's very loud.
Very.
Just having a conversation.
That's a lot of brothers.
Moving on to match number 4, Mr. JL taking on Sabu. Mr. JL, of course, is one of the best human beings, professional wrestlers of all time, and very underrated Jerry Lynn. And of course, Sabu, this is after his...
Is an asshole.
Yes. But coming out to generic intro music, which was also used for La Parka at one point in time, I must point out. But he's also accompanied to the ring by his uncle, the Sheik, who was the guy who basically put Cobo Hall on the map, as they keep saying.
As they said, with Bubba Brazil 1,000,000 times for 10 years.
Yes, exactly. But also, the Sheik got involved, and when Sabu went off the top and basically took out his uncle and Mr. JL.
More so his uncle.
So this match, basically, it was like the two of them were like, okay, we have to hit all of our spots.
Yes.
Okay, we got 5 minutes.
As fast as we possibly can.
As fast as we possibly
Let's take
can.
10 minutes, put it in 5. It'll be great.
So
And it kind of was. It wasn't a bad match.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It was full of action. You got to see everything what Sabu was about. You got to see everything Mr. JL was about. What were your thoughts on this? Is probably the most athletic,
technical.
Yes.
It was... I more got distracted by Bobby saying, what did J&L stand for? Jerk and lunch? It's like, really, Bobby? You couldn't think of anything else to say.
Of all the J's and the L's.
I think I was just a loser. I also looked up Sabu and the Sheik because I was interested. Fun fact, Sabu is from New York and now lives in Michigan. The Sheik was born in Michigan. So, not sure if their clothing and general personas are appropriate, but they sure are fun.
Mildly racist again. Back to
Mildly.
racism.
Well, that's why Sabu.
fun.
That's why Sabu claimed later in ECW he was from Bombay, Michigan. Just kind of wrap it all around.
Just
That's
in
awesome.
case you were wondering.
Just in case you were wondering, he covered for it eventually. But anyways, more hype for this monster truck thing after the match. Oh, we must be remiss. The random fireball.
I was about to say.
The random fireball.
Thinking, should I just throw that back out there? Like, wait a minute.
Well, no, I forgot.
Fireball for no reason.
I'm
right?
sorry. I cut away from it so nobody could see it.
Yeah. Even in the replay, you see and even had they shown it, he was like a mile away from him.
Yes.
Like he could have set the rope on fire before he even touched Jerry Lynn.
And see, the story always went, especially back in the era when the Sheik was on top wrestling Bobo Brazil, and he was the man that made Cobo Hall. I figure I'd mention that again.
10 years.
10 years,
All over the place.
The idea of him being able to throw a fireball of course, we know the mechanics of it in the flash paper.
Super Mario Brothers, yeah.
Yeah,
He
but
found a
he,
flower,
yeah,
threw something.
Exactly. That's the thing. Is he says that
He's an X-Man.
Exactly. That they said that he could conjure the fire from his fingertips. That's what they used to say back in the day.
And a different fire from the slider in his other hand.
Yes. They just have it look like flash paper and then throw it in the face.
So he is a mutant.
Yes.
Or a magician.
Huzzah!
But anyways, just fire in the face and nobody caught it. Poor Jerry
Yep.
Lynn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just poor Jerry Lynn.
Trust me. Me and Bobo did this for 10 years. Fireball.
But
Great balls of fire.
But at the same time, too, if you're Jerry Lynn, you're like, hey, I got the fireball from the Sheik.
Yeah.
Again, in Detroit.
Put that on a resume.
That's like getting the pile driver from Lawler, you know? Like, that's
In
great.
Memphis.
Could be a really good T-shirt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I got a fireball from the Sheik in Detroit.
8
What did
people.
you get?
Yeah. I got a fireball in the face from the Sheik in Detroit, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
It's a very specific T-shirt. I think they would sell one.
Well, Detroit's got to do something to up the tourism these days.
Which we go on here in just a second to hear. Bobby shits all over Detroit literally the entire time. Like, he shits on the Red Wings the entire next match.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Of course. It's but before we get to that, we get to the Master. And that big diatribe of stuff you can barely hear. And Paige, you being a technical person, I picked up on this. The way they were picking up most of that audio is they had a lapel mic on Kevin Sullivan on one strap of his singlet.
He was like standing over.
Yeah, and he was standing with like, like one of those like spies for like those really bad spy movies, like, say a little bit more in the lapel.
Talking to my shirt, please.
Talking to these flowers.
So what are her thoughts on the Master? On his long-standing promo of Total Eclipse of the Sun.
When he first was rolled out, I thought he kind of resembled the Red Raven from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I know that was my first thought. I don't know why. I don't know, man. A lot of astronomical stuff that doesn't really make sense.
There's a whole mess of that.
That's all I got.
It took me most of the promo to realize he kept saying Sullivan. I thought he was saying Solomon, and that just added to like how weird and out there I thought this promo was. And then towards the end, I heard him say Sullivan. I was like, oh man, kind of ruined that for me.
We do give him a hard time, but he's actually King Curtis Iakea.
Okay, I was going to say, who is that cat?
King Curtis Iakea. He's a legend in like the Hawaiian area. Like when they had wrestling in Hawaii, he legend. He ran with Maivia and all the people, like The Rock's grandfather and that whole crew. But there's a great story about King Curtis, that he was such a captivating talker in his prime that when they were recording TV, a match went short, like somebody got hurt, and they were recording it live, and they had 20 minutes of airtime. So they just let King Curtis cut a promo.
Wow.
For 20 minutes. People say it was like the most fantastic thing ever. So,
that's awesome.
so when you see him be the Master, like, where the hell is that? Like, why couldn't you just let him do that? Do what he's great at. Did you have to get him this character that's not himself? So.
I just want to know what this writer's room is like. Like, I really want to go in the writer's room.
As a writer, what are you thinking right now? You're starting to see these dominoes.
I just am so intrigued. I don't even know. I just like want to experience it. They're like, what kind of astronomical shit you know? I don't know. Milky Way? Moon?
Write that
all
down.
right, but it's genius. It's genius.
Love
Put
it.
it down. Yeah, that's all I
Total
got.
Eclipse
I don't know.
of Sun? Yes. Got that. All right. Let's
Put that in there somewhere.
Tonight, yeah, great. That's good.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
But wait, should we spray this guy silver first or no?
Yeah.
Silver.
We got some.
We've got enough silver paint.
Yeah, let's do that.
We redid the steps. We're good to go. Go ahead. Use it. I assume the writing room looks kind of like our setup here, where it's just a couple of lunch tray tables
Yeah.
and like scraps of paper, and people are just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, just whatever. Just hand it to him.
Write that down.
But the next thing up is the backstage segment where they give away a Harley Davidson. And Hulk Hogan is there, who is just on top of Cobo Hall.
Yeah.
Now he's in the locker room.
Had to
You
run
can
down.
teleport.
Yeah.
So far we got a firebender.
Yeah. We have equal members of Naruto and the X-Men, a little Nightcrawler and Hulk Hogan.
a little bit. He just knew
bit.
where to go and
Yeah.
just thought to be there, and he ended up.
Yep.
Or maybe he can project himself in multiple places at once.
Yeah. or maybe the winner of pre-tapes.
Yeah.
Probably is probably.
Yep.
A or B, if you're gonna rain on a parade.
And just this segment seemed to go on forever.
It did.
And there was an inside joke that Mean Gene was trying to make with that lady, and I still don't know what it was.
Yeah.
about
She
sitting on the
looked
seat.
like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
She just stared and awkwardly smiled.
The fiance?
Sometimes, yeah.
The fiance was so uncomfortable. And it was great.
She was just thinking, he doesn't even know how to drive a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Oh Lordy, we're gonna die tonight. He's been drinking moonshine all day. Oh shit!
Yes. He looked
Rest
like
in peace, FM.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to them because they kept bringing up the name of the Harley dealership. I'm like, this is a national pay-per-view. How much money did they pay for their Harley dealership to be put on a national pay-per-view like this?
A Harley Davidson. They paid a Harley to be there to give you a motorcycle.
Exactly.
Cool.
Anyways, moving on to match number 5. Lex Luger taking on Ming.
This is where the show kind of takes a downhill slope.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, like, you had so many guys working for WCW, like, and you're gonna put like 2 matches of Lex Luger and 2 matches of Macho Man on there, and they're both not gonna take really any of them, at least the first one, very seriously. But like, why don't you just book Lex versus Macho Man
Right away.
and just do that, and then a couple guys some good payoff? I'm like, no, we'll make you guys work twice. So as they're going to the ring, they notice there's yellow. I don't know if you guys noticed that. This was in a couple matches earlier. They were throwing little yellow foam balls, and I was trying to figure out what that was. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, people were buying Hulk Hogan foam hands and then taking them and then throwing them at people. Like, that just goes to show how far, like, Hulkamania had, like... Because this is about the time Hulkamania has been run into the ground as far as wrestling fans have gone. So I was like, yeah, I could see people going, you know what? Fuck this Hulk Hogan thing. We're just start throwing this at the wrestlers as they come to the ring. Because they were getting pelted with them. And also an important thing to bring into the mix when we talk about the intro, especially Lex Luger's intro, was on the tombstones.
I was going to bring this up in Johnny Be Bad, but...
Yes. No, you go right ahead with the tombstones.
The 2 that stood out the most to me were one that said Elvis lives, and the other one said Crockett.
Crockett, which Jim Crockett Promotions used to own NWA, which then later became WCW. And I think it's funny because David Crockett is still working for WCW this time. But the fact that they put Crockett on there, like, hey, your old company is dead.
Yeah.
Like,
Dick move, guy.
Yeah, kind of a dick move by the props department, I think.
But bad blood there.
Yes, for sure. And of course, Lex Luger's entrance music, as we all know from the legendary Ford commercials at 4 a.m. You know, just generic music as always. Lex Luger, at one point in time in his career, he was considered to be, the next guy, the next Hulk Hogan.
WWE was going to make him be that. That was what they were.
That's when, and multiple times in his career, he'd always been pushed to the moon, and people are always saying that the common fan, this is who they want to see. So, Paige, what are your thoughts on seeing Lex Luger for the first time?
I noted his panty lines. To be honest, they need to start wearing thongs in this business if you're gonna wear that tight of pants. That's just a girl's opinion. I was really caught up in the whole Dungeon of Doom. I didn't really understand who was allied with who and who was betraying who. So that was all interesting for me.
Yeah, because the whole Kevin Sullivan interest of he's kind of part of us, and I want him to be. It's like, he hadn't swiped right yet. In Dungeon of Doom.
He's debating.
He left him, He left him.
He left him hanging, or he did, and he's not answering.
He's only got so many swipes left before his quota for the day's over, so he had to.
Is there a quota on Tinder?
Yeah, there's a quota now. Not that I know. But yeah, there's a quota. You can only get so many rights and lefts. If you only get a combination, and then you're done for 20 hours.
The more you know.
Yeah.
The more you know. Well, since you're so knowledgeable, can we talk about the foreign object, the golden Asiatic spike that looked like a box cutter spray-painted gold?
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, what is this, prison? He's got a knife in his boot?
He's got a shank.
He's got a shank.
He's been shanked. It's a shiv. Get shanked, it's a verb.
So I believe it was a box cutter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like that scene in Breaking Bad.
Anybody got a marker? I got this box cutter. Fuck it. Tape it up.
It'll work.
We got more of that gold paint? Plenty of it.
Yeah, instead of that being the finish, Kevin Sullivan just comes in and taps Lex Luger on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yes. Ming's afro mullet. Yeah, let's about that. Some more mullets. Add more mullets to the show.
Mulletsville.
Ming's afro mullet is a work of art. I don't know if those were just. I don't know if that was weave dreads or not, or if that's
cornrows, right?
Yeah, what it was like. It was all afro here, and then it started here. Like some really good Eddie Gordo Tekken or Virtua Fighter shit.
Also, I just would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. I'm obsessed with Bobby, you guys.
Oh, please.
Before this match, he briefly forgot the word for swimming pool. And was just making like a circular motion with his hand. And I think he was making fun of the poor people who won the motorcycle thing because he was like,
oh, he definitely was.
They look very nice in their trailer court next to those other cars on the rocks and cement blocks. Thanks that little. And then he forgot the word for swimming pool. And it was like, one of those $4 round swimming pool. That's amazing.
And of course he's kicking himself like, oh, this great insult, and I just missed the tag.
I was on the roll. I was on a roll.
I was on a roll.
Also, during Luger versus Ming, they started discussing Bobby Sushi again.
Yeah, we started talking. That's what the payoff was of that. Well,
I guess
not really. I guess so. That's all we got.
It's a lack of payoff.
The arguable payoff.
The arguable payoff of like, oh, I was
So.
suing the businessman. I was having my business and slipped you an envelope.
Yep.
That's where we discussed that.
And that's that, I guess.
And that is that for that match.
Well, this is where Bobby starts shitting on the Red Wings specifically because they've never won anything at this point. But then, like that year, the next year, they go on to, I think, win the cup. So Bobby the Brain Heenan really gave them the pep talk they needed to start, becoming a team that mattered.
Yeah.
So thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, Bobby. Give them the motivation they need.
They need, yeah.
I can imagine the coach of the Red Wings pulling up WCW Halloween Havoc '95.
Everybody
see what
listen.
this guy is doing right here? And they're like,
son of
you
a-
talking about sushi? Like, no, about us.
I
deal?
want sushi. I like sushi.
Yeah.
Is he doing a bit? I don't get it.
I don't get it.
I don't have a swimming pool either. Damn it. Swimming pool.
Such a hard word to remember. Because it's 2 words. So complicated.
No one else is 2 words. Monster trucks.
Woo!
More hype for the monster truck match and less hype for the actual main event wrestling match. And it's made me think, like, was monster trucks so popular in 1995?
Yes, actually, I looked that up as well.
I'm glad you did. I didn't have enough time to, so please elaborate.
Yes, they were super over at the time. And it wasn't until like 91, like 88, they started doing like the real Monster Jam shows. 91 is when they started doing like expedition, like events per. Mm-hmm. And then, so 95 was like at its peak. And at that time, they had 8 gravediggers. So, because there was such a demand of monster truck shows, they could, and the Gravedigger was besides the Giant and the Hogan machines,
Yes.
was the most in demand. So they had 8 different Gravediggers with 8 different drivers, and so they could go and have any show as long as they had Gravedigger.
Okay. So that was more of a situation
Sleuth reporting that.
I'm very glad that you did that. I made a note of that, but I didn't look it up myself,
Yep.
so I'm glad you did the research
Yes.
on that. So thank you for that information.
Super over in monster trucks.
So,
The more you know.
The more you know. So wrestling glamming off the popularity of monster trucks.
All the pop culture.
Well, we don't have Cyndi Lauper anymore, so you
No.
gotta go monster
That's what we
trucks.
can do.
Like that's what wrestling does. But anyways, match number 6. Arn Anderson and Flying Brian taking on Sting and Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Kind of.
Sort of. Paige,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts about Arn Anderson? When you see him and look at him, the people, us wrestling fans, we love him to death. But there's always the criticism that common wrestling fans like, oh, nobody's going to get behind that guy or believe that guy. What are your thoughts when you see Arn Anderson?
He's the enforcer, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I noticed he has enforcer on his butt. And I thought, it's kind of like Juicy Sweatpants.
That's actually where they got the idea.
Oh, yeah.
Looked
There you
into that as
go.
well.
I mean,
Well, it worked.
Arn Anderson, very ahead of his time and very smart and
Yeah.
intelligent. I
There
wouldn't
you
doubt
go.
it. I wouldn't doubt it.
It's
I
because you
wouldn't
got
doubt
it
it.
there.
Y'all just need to get some juicy on those pants.
Yeah, I'll just do
Genius.
that. It's fantastic.
Classic Arn.
He had a super sweet dad bod. I'm gonna say,
Yep.
yeah, if we're gonna talk about it, if we're gonna put that card in play,
Oh,
dad bod
cards
all day
are
long.
for sure.
Yep.
And when I was putting on weight, that was my goal, was to look like him. For
To look like a frumpy older man.
yeah,
Good.
to look like a man. And when Tommy Dreamer told me one time I looked like an Arn Anderson type, I was like, ooh, that's a nice compliment. Even though I was 240 pounds. Like, thank you.
He didn't mean it that way, but I took it that way.
Yeah, exactly. I took it there.
He's large as a barn, Anderson.
Ugh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What?
Edit it out.
Edit it out. And then, of course, we have Flying Brian just beginning his crazy Brian loose cannon Brian Pillman era.
Belligerent.
I don't believe why he did that, but he, he's coming up with this character that was very revolutionary at this time.
Definitely was.
Still,
And it still goes on. It goes on to be even more revolutionary.
exactly. And of course, as I noticed, the bucket from match 1 is still out at ringside, just hanging out.
Just because
Like a
that
little
match is
Easter egg.
over doesn't mean they can't stop spitting.
Exactly. And of course,
Continuity.
Yeah.
Flair's jumped in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to make it, so Sting's out there by himself wrestling. Flying
Fighting the
Brian,
good fight.
Fighting
Yeah.
the good fight, doing what he's supposed to do. What are your thoughts on this match?
This is an awesome match.
Yeah,
Darn
it was fun.
right it
It's
is.
was
great.
fun.
It's anytime Arn Anderson's around, it's going to be awesome. But just some of the stuff they were doing, like they finally got him out the outside, and they were doing like the chase the chicken deal.
Like old
Yeah.
brainbuster spots, and just like spots that Arn's run with Rock and Roll Express, and just like this is why Arn Anderson is so fantastic. It's the psychology of the fact of one man versus two men, and he makes it believable that he can possibly do it this way. And you know that Arn is
Yeah.
putting all this together and calling us and piecing it this way, and that is why he's a genius at this. Is because he can make magic, and this match is almost 20 minutes long, and you just believe it the whole time. But also during this is bringing up notes of commentary. You have Tony Schiavone putting over Sting over and over and over again, and Bobby the Brain Heenan going, can you just shut up about Sting? Did you co-sign a house with him or something? I had to laugh because, of course, Sting's partner is Flair, and if there's anybody on that team you want to co-sign a house with, it's Sting and not Ric Flair. I must point that out for sure. Also, too, finally, Flair comes down to the ring because he was attacked earlier.
wearing his huge bandage.
Huge
So
bandage.
believable.
This Tampax pad of a bandage on his forehead.
Props to the props department, to
Yeah.
the costuming department.
Yeah,
Props.
let's make this guy. That's the thing. You can make Prince King Curtis Ikea
Legend.
look like a stone statue of a man, but you can't make Ric Flair look like he believably was beaten up.
Yeah, no.
You know, like just put a band.
Ran out of money.
Just
Ran out of money on the paint.
that and the tombstones. Like,
Yeah.
well, it's either make this tombstone that says Crockett on it and piss off one of the producers, or just kind of put a band-aid on it.
It's Halloween Havoc. Make the tombstone.
Make the tombstone. Oh, we got more of a thing.
Ask Kimberly if she has a pad. Kimberly got a pad? Yep, cool.
Stick it on there.
Yeah, right there.
Here we go.
Sorry, tapes itself.
But I must say, like, Flair came out at the right time. Huge reaction. Ric
Yeah.
Flair
Going ape shit on the apron.
people going nuts. Signs that say Ric Flair for president. Hey, at this time, it sounded a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
But at this day and age, I don't think
Who knows?
I don't think this country's against it at this moment
We're
in time.
definitely not above it.
We're- we are most certainly not as a country. But anyways, Paige, as a writer, this match is just so good psychology-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And of course with the big turn, like
Yeah.
as soon as, and it's so perfect to the way
The
second Ric Flair is tagged in, he just punches
Yeah.
Sting, and they start beating the crap out of him.
It was certainly unexpected.
Did you believe it? Like as somebody who read stories and and things out, do you believe this? Is this a good story to be told?
It's hard for me to comment because I literally was like, I'm surprised, I think. I don't know these characters very well. I also have to know that they do betrayals a lot throughout this special, and I'm like, at a certain point, they're just, you expect it.
Yeah.
But no, it was fun, and like Ric Flair out there in his like business pants and like throwing his loafers at people.
Hit him with his shoe.
That was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Also, Bobby quote of the match: I double cross people, but this is a 10.
Oh. Gotta love
Genius.
Bobby. He's the best. He's the best. And of course, the matches follow with a typical Ric Flair promo, screaming in the microphone,
Yep.
Kicking it to an unsuspecting Brian Pillman, had nothing to say other than just woo. And then a fantastic tag by Arn Anderson. Oh, and that was that match. I think this match was probably the highlight of the
Oh, it
match.
definitely
I agree.
was.
I
It
enjoyed
definitely
it.
was.
This
match was the only good one.
Oh yeah, that's the thing when I think about like this pay-per-view being $35. Like if you saw that match, I'm like, oh okay, well I got this match for $35 and kind of everything else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
really that may be the only way I could have justified it as a 13-year-old boy in watching this.
And everything that Bobby said the whole time.
Of course.
Yes.
Anyways, from then on, we have a backstage promo with Lex Luger. Pretty forgettable. I don't really have anything to say.
Like most things.
Like
he
most
does.
things, every time he talks. Video recap: the Sumo Monster Truck. This is the big recap. This is where I have all my notes. This is where I think most,
This is our Undertaker moment. Undertaker at Mania moment.
Yes, from the last episode. This is where just this video recap of this story. It starts off of the Giant showing up and taking off his shirt at Bash at the beach and throwing it at Hulk Hogan and like, you remember this? And I love how they try and put over the fact that the Giant is Andre the Giant's son. And like, well, how do we convey to him that that he's the son? Well, let's have him take this shirt that looks
We got this shirt.
This shirt that looks kind of like a swashbuckler, but something a French guy would wear. And like, Andre the Giant was French, so let's just have him put that on and throw it.
He wore this in Princess Bride. Give it to him.
Yeah, that would have made more sense.
Yeah. Could have been a peanut, and he just threw a peanut at him instead.
You remember this, Hogan?
No.
So that was a callback to Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan?
Yes. That's kind of what I think
that
they were
makes
doing.
sense
But Andre, like I'm glad you said Princess Bride, because I never thought that, okay, that might be the shirt. But
Yeah,
that
right.
shirt was like...
But who
It's
saw
not-
Princess Bride? Like, what wrestling fan, what
would remember the shirt that Andre the Giant is wearing.
what
in Princess
stereotypical Southern WCW fan?
And also that shirt...
What hillbilly would have seen Princess Bride? Let's just say it.
And that shirt was like white, but the one in Princess Bride was like a tan brownish
totally
one.
was.
It just had ruffles on the
So
front.
that's all you need.
You need to watch this movie now, you guys.
So like that's the only thing that you just remember this, and Hulk's like, no, I don't. And then of course Hulk Hogan going to the Dungeon of Doom, the actual Dungeon of Doom, not the stable.
Not just off the side there.
Yeah, just from there, and then of course hanging out, talking to his fans, and the big betrayal, the monster truck running over Hulk Hogan's Harley Davidson.
Yep.
People running away, switching to camera angles,
Yep.
switching camera angles,
They knew all the tricks.
just-
Man.
and like I love how they're like Hulk Hogan's just like no. He doesn't say I'm going to take you on in a wrestling match. He's like no. You take your monster truck. Well, guess what? I'm going to build a better monster truck. As
Real
opposed to
American.
instead of me doing my vocation.
Yep.
Like the only way that is like Cam Newton going, you know what, Von Miller? you beat me at the Super Bowl, but then you ran over my monster truck. Well, guess what? I'm going to build a bigger monster truck. No, beat him in a football game.
Yeah.
Your vocation that you do. No. I'm going to take you on because you did this to my automobile. Mm-hmm. And just, and then, of course, the breaking of the neck. And he's wearing the neck brace, but he's still able to tear the T-shirt.
Yep.
Kevin Sullivan's dressed up like a woman. Hits him with a cane.
Just Kevin Sullivan do what Kevin Sullivan do.
The debut of the Yeti.
No judgment.
No judgment.
Okay, you guys. I have a problem with this.
Please.
A Yeti
this is where
is
it
like...
starts
I'm waiting for somebody to jump in, especially you as a writer going, none of this makes sense.
You guys, a Yeti is like an abominable snowman character, okay?
Yes.
A Yeti is like the guy in Monsters, Inc. with the yellow snow. That's a Yeti.
Yes.
And when he comes out later, I'm going to bring this back up. But they keep talking about this Yeti.
The insurance policy.
The insurance policy.
Yeti.
And guys, it's not a Yeti. It's not a Yeti.
The better part about it
Do
is
some
how
research.
Tony Schiavone says Yeti the entire time.
Yeti?
The Yeti.
Like,
There's a Yeti coming.
like a valley
What?
girl. Oh my god, it's a Yeti!
Yeti.
Yeti. Yeti.
What if like Tony Schiavone had a production assistant who's like this big valley girl, and he's like, "What's this word? I don't know." And she's like, "Yeti."
Oh, y'all, it's the Yeti.
Yeah, exactly.
Get ready for the Yeti.
The Yeti is actually the Japanese man that Bobby the Brain Eaton met with. It's the Yeti.
Oh my god, that'd be a great reveal.
Full circle. 2 circles.
Yes.
Brought
He
it back.
rips off
Oh, we brought
his
it right
costume and
back.
he's like, I accept your business. That was great sushi. And they're all like, that was a proper story.
Oh,
Yeah.
But it's 2 Asian men on top of each other because Asian people. Never mind.
2 small Asian men.
Two small Asian men.
2 Tyrion-sized Asian men. I'm going to Game of Thrones kick today. I'm sorry, you guys.
Quite okay. It's far better storytelling than what's going on.
Yeah.
There's so many betrayals.
So are
It
the
just
White
reminds
Walkers
me-
Yetis? Is that what we're gonna go with now?
Sure.
The Yetis
The Yetis.
of Game of Thrones.
You know nothing, Hulk Hogan. You know nothing.
Nothing.
And then apparently he knows.
Monster trucks are coming.
He knows nothing about monster trucks. But he's like, no, I will take you on in a monster truck battle. Like, they have this opportunity where they can show him, like, doing this big Rocky montage
that'd be great.
of him working out and preparing for a wrestling match.
Couldn't get-
But no, they show footage of them building a monster truck.
And they have like this boring guy that's like talking about the logistics.
Oh
of it.
yeah, like that
And I'm
guy.
like, wow, the energy really
Bob
fell here.
Chandler, I believe his name is,
Yeah.
the guy who designed Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Was brought in as a special commentator to talk about the building of that. And of course, Eric Bischoff's like, no.
Oh yeah, they also brought Bischoff in for this.
Bischoff
one.
kicked off Tony Schiavone, and Bischoff's like, no. I need to do commentary on this Sumo Monster Truck. All right, I need to do the commentary for this. Schiavone, you take a break. All right, you learn how to say Yeti.
Yeti. There's a Yeti over there. Go find it.
Go get your notes ready for the Yeti, and then come on back.
Oh my gosh.
But of course, taped the night before.
Yep.
And of course, there've been tons of back and forth. Like Giant was up there testing it in Cobo Hall, then back down cutting a promo,
Cutting a killer promo.
then back up there. And I love how it starts off. Like there's been this build up, and everybody has been hyping this Sumo Monster Truck Battle over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
They've explained the rules ahead of time, but then this video starts off with Hulk Hogan like, "Come on, Giant. Well, hold on a minute now. Tell us about the rules." I was like, and I'm like, how do you not know the rules?
You've got a truck. Why do you care
How
about
does
the
ever, everybody, they've been talking about the rules of this thing the entire pay-per-view, and you've been talking about how you're going to build a truck and challenge him in this Sumo Monster Truck battle. You're the one that made the challenge for the Sumo Monster Truck. Shouldn't you be explaining the rules?
Just fucking do it already.
Clearly, he was too busy teleporting and cutting his promos to listen to everyone else.
And giving out motorcycles.
He had to give away a motorcycle.
Busy
Hulk
day.
Hogan's got Hulk Hogan shit right now, alright? He's got shit to do.
Obviously. And also, too, these monster trucks running on pure alcohol,
Yeah.
which is a thing. You can
Okay.
you can actually, if we're going to get in conspiracy theories and we're going to go off on tangents,
Okay.
you can actually, for a long time, like vehicles were meant or can run on alcohol. And because of
So can I on Saturday nights.
Hey-o! I was waiting for that
right there.
I'm
Somebody
sorry,
had to
keep
get it.
going.
But anyways, the vehicles were all like Henry Ford always felt that you could run, vehicles on alcohol. But John D. Rockefeller, who ran Standard Oil and oil companies, pushed for prohibition because the idea of that was like people like we're going to ban alcohol, and because there's a small resurgence group of people that wanted that, but John D. Rockefeller got that behind that because then that will cause people to be like, oh well, what if they drink the alcohol we put in our cars? And that's why John D. Rockefeller was like, well, I have this oil company. If you put petroleum in them, people can't drink the gas that they put in.
I beg to
Son
differ.
of a
And that is why that is how big oil started running stuff around here.
Sons of bitches.
Because actually, when Henry Ford designed the car, you could run off alcohol and burn very cleanly.
Wow.
So just to let you know.
Wow.
I've been listening a little too much to Joe Rogan, but that's what I heard. So
I am disappointed.
you can look up some sources about John D. Rockefeller and what he did, but that's why these performance machines were running under alcohol, because machines were originally designed to run off of alcohol. Mm-hmm. So, but John D. Rockefeller had to ban that because he had all this oil that he lost all the business because of Edison inventing the light bulb. So, but
So much drama back then.
so much, probably more drama that was going on in this Monster Sumo Truck Battle.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Monster Truck, nerd.
Yeah, so like the possibility of this blowing up, of charges exploding.
Killing me. Yeah, and then there's like explosions occurring
Yeah.
while this alcohol can catch on fire.
And I love how they said they're going to weld them together.
Mm-hmm.
The guy had a welder and he welded for 10 seconds. You spent all this time
Well.
talking how powerful these monster trucks are. And it takes 10 seconds to weld them
Just
together.
right there, they're good.
10 seconds just to weld them together. Like, that's it. So,
And the giant won 2 times.
Yeah.
2
Like,
times.
at least.
But
Yeah.
the
Because
thing is,
they kept covering for it. Because like, he pushed him out one time. Oh no,
Oh,
gotta get both
time
wheels.
enough.
They get both wheels out of there. And then like right after that, he got both wheels out of there.
it's almost like they came up with the rules afterwards.
Yeah.
Like after they taped it, like, well, you went out that one time. Well, we can just say it takes both out. Okay.
Well, there's both. Shit.
Shut.
Just cut away.
Other angle. Good
Crop
enough.
it. Just crop it.
No, we didn't get all the way out. Didn't cross the line.
Just cut to Hulk going, "Rrr," and growl face in the
And doing this
car.
weird convulsion in the car, like
This isn't how you drive, Hulk.
you mean to tell me this motherfucker drives a stick shift? No, I don't buy it.
That's why the co-pilots were there.
Yeah.
I feel like he was just hanging
Yeah.
onto the dummy steering
Yeah.
wheel.
Because they talk about how the
tough.
co-pilots work the back of the car. I mean, come on, man.
Is that the case?
Yeah, that's what they were saying. Is that the co-pilot actually worked the back axle and something else, while Hogan worked the front and the transmission specifically. So, jeez.
But anyways, another Bobby the Brain Heenan quote in the middle of this, talking about how Hulk's monster truck was running slow. And Bobby the Brain is like, well, we always expect Hogan to be running slow, and he never disappoints.
He hates Hulk Hogan.
Yes, he does. And then even like in the middle of it, going back and forth like that, like Bobby the Brain goes, "It's exciting. This is exciting."
Yeah. If
So
you
matter
have
of
to,
factly,
Yeah.
you know, it is.
if you have to say how exciting it is a lot,
It's not
probably
exciting.
not that. Like at one point, somebody goes, "This is real," and I'm like, if you have to say that,
I'm not trying to sound racist, but it's the equivalent of that.
yeah.
Nothing coming out of my mouth next is not racist.
Exactly. Anyways, this gets to a point, a climax. Hulk Hogan finally wins after losing this thing twice.
Third time's charm.
Third time's a charm. You know, we finally got the right guy to win. And then, of course, Giant mad as he
So
should
mad.
be.
Yeah,
because
like
he
he
won
won.
twice.
Justified.
So, like, now he gets out of his car and he wants to go after Hulk. Hulk backing up. And then they get into a choking match, which ends with
Murder.
murder.
So dramatic.
Killed that man.
You killed that man.
Killed that man.
Yeah.
You did.
Discuss how do you feel about murder on WCW?
First off, they've just talked about how huge this roof is. Why did you go towards the edge of the building in the first place? Why didn't you just go literally anywhere else on the top of the building? He went for the ledge. This was premeditated. He knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing. He was doing a me passa.
Yeah,
So he's setting up for that.
Yeah. Very unconvincing fall by the Giant, I have to say. There was a lot of arm waving on that whole face, like, whoa, 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 whoa! Like, and then the eventual drop.
And the twinkle like, then you look down and big eyes.
And I just love how it's like, I'll bust your hands off, and then I'll start moving my air.
He's trying to fly. You're not that large. You don't know what type of power you have against the wind if you're that big. What if he actually had the wingspan and strength to just kind of float himself back normal? You don't know that.
Maybe that's how he survived.
Clearly he didn't because he died. He killed him. Yeah. The man's dead.
And I love how like they didn't even get the camera go like see where he's at or say he's okay. No,
Let's
stay
look
with
at the
Hulk
body.
Hogan. Stay with Hulk Hogan. Stay with Hulk Hogan.
He looks so guilty.
Yeah, like what did Hulk see when he looked down?
I would have loved the end to the segment was like the police arresting Hulk and that's how it ends.
And then he breaks out of jail to make it. Hogan, the Giant shows up, and then Hogan comes out.
He runs past like a body tape and like a bunch of like a police setup. And then we go into a whole other story about how he's so guilty. Maybe he tries to make reparations somehow by becoming like a counselor or something.
But every time they interview him, there's the Giant and like a fake mustache and glasses in the back, like writing down statements like a reporter. Why did you kill the Giant? Hey, are those Andre's fake mustache and glasses?
Yeah, and they could spin off into a series a couple years later,
Yes.
People versus Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, which is actually going on right now.
Yeah, it's going on right now.
Life imitates art.
It's loose definition of art, but I get it.
Yeah.
But I love how they put over like what happened, and they're trying to, oh my gosh, this happened, and then all of a sudden, let's go to the ring, and all of a sudden that generic Lex Luger music hits. We just saw a murder. We don't know what to do.
We've killed the Giant. Let's kill the crowd.
From dust to dust, we all return. It all ends eventually. Let's go to the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, the narcissist.
Exactly. And then Tony Schiavone just goes into like, well, you never know the surprises you're going to see in WCW. Like, murder. Like,
Surprise murder.
murder.
And Bobby is so mad. He's like, I can't do this. He's like, I know that man's father. We go back. You don't understand. And he's like telling the assistant to go run up there, and he's
the
like,
proper-
why can't I understand?
The proper reaction to that.
Exactly.
is, it
He's
is.
the only one acting genuine in this moment.
Man, I love Bobby because I believe him. I don't know if he's doing a shtick or not, and I love that. Like everyone else is like, okay, he has a persona and a character, and like, cool. But he's like, is he really freaking out right now?
Yes.
I can't tell.
Maybe the Giant did fall.
I know. Yeah.
Maybe there is like a line of people outside, and it would take him 2 hours to get out there. Like as he said, I tried to get out there.
Great cover up.
Yeah, great. Just fantastic. Far better than probably this match with Lex Luger and Macho Man.
Yeah.
Probably. Definitely.
Definitely. Pretty just straightforward.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah, tried to, Jimmy Hart comes out, pulls the ref. Lex Luger's clearly got his feet on the ropes, but the ref's not even looking at him whatsoever. But Lex Luger clearly cheating. Better elbow drop this time from Macho Man.
Yeah.
Kind of pretty,
Had to save it for the main, brother.
standard for 1995 for him.
Do the referees ever care if there's cheating?
Supposed to.
They're supposed to care.
Okay.
Like a lot.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes it doesn't turn out that way.
I was wondering.
Sometimes there's better things. Sometimes there's a murder. No one's head's really in it.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Yeah,
It's fair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Macho, we gotta give, like I said,
Whole mess of threats though. They'll threaten. Real good.
but pretty standard, straightforward. But can't be too hard on Macho Man Randy Savage. He's got like a bandage from his knuckle to his shoulder, and I don't think I saw him unbend his elbow once.
No.
So probably pretty hurt at this time. Made it through. Wrestled twice on the pay per view. Going to the pay window both times. Anyways, more like what's going on. If I had we have phones. It's 1995. Walkie-talkies. Can somebody
There's gotta
check
be
on what's
something.
going on?
They want all the
Johnny B. Bad
cameras
doesn't
up
have one.
there.
Johnny B. Bad doesn't have one. Don't ask him.
And it's like
so convenient.
And Tony Schiavone just so not caring about Bobby freaking out.
He's like, well, dude, and then Bobby's like, I gotta do. Was it Nitro?
Yeah.
I think Nitro tomorrow. He's like, hey man, it's a job, so
It's your job. You just gotta do
Would be
it.
a wet sock, Shivani.
Yeah, you saw
Tony,
murder.
you're so cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to you, Tony? Who hurt you as a child?
Yeah.
What did you see?
Show me where he touched you.
I was touched on a roof.
By a giant of a man.
He was giant to me. I was just a little boy.
And then I pushed him off.
It's all too real. I feel so numb. Just keep working. Just
Gotta
keep
keep working. I had to go to school the next day.
Just keep going. That's what my mama keeps saying. Just keep going. Just keep going forward.
Just keep trucking. Just keep monster trucking.
And now the ring with Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And it's almost like we have to go to the ring. We paid Michael Buffer like $1 million
Michael
to
Buffer
do
doesn't
this.
come for free.
Like we have to have him do this.
Michael Buffer's not cheap. That's why they get Bruce Buffer to do the UFC fight.
Yeah, see that's the thing. Like Michael Buffer's pay for this was probably more than the entire like non-televised matches.
Oh yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Probably most of the matches.
Yeah.
Like most of the televised matches.
Yeah, like-
except for Hogan and Flair.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. But Hulk Hogan comes out in all black.
Mourning the loss of a 10-minute mourn sesh.
I'm a victim.
Yes.
Hulk.
But then of course
Murder.
Giant kicked out of falling off a building.
Well, as we know now, it's been a day.
It's been a day later. He's had a whole
He's had time to
day.
recover.
He's had a whole time to recover.
Those
Giants.
minor crush wounds.
Giant
Trauma.
kicked out quicker than Jesus. So he's like, I don't need the weekend. Just give me a minute.
Don't roll the roll the stone in front of the tomb.
I
You get the
That's
rock
not
out of here.
Yeah, just leave it there. I'll be all right. Just give me
Put some tussin on it.
Yeah, just
Tell my dad
Yeah.
I'm the giant / God that I'll be fine.
this one's for you, Dad.
Yep.
This one's for you. You know, venge your loss in
Yeah.
Detroit, no less.
Yeah, but of all the places, your chosen land.
But in front of an eighth of the crowd that you had. So, so anyways, this match is debut match. Like, it still blows my mind. Like, this is
Number one.
Paul White's first match is wrestling for the World Heavyweight title against Hulk Hogan on a pay-per-view. And in further review of his career, his third match was for New Japan Wrestling.
Who did he blow to get this match, you guys?
Listen,
Well.
you can't teach hype. Like, I believe he was the one that inspired that phrase to be spread around wrestling locker rooms for decades upon time. Because, like, his third match in Japan was teaming with Arn Anderson, his childhood hero no less, against Hashimoto, a legend in Japan. So after his third match, he literally could have said, I've done everything. Done.
I died, you guys.
I died, came back, debuted
against Hulk Hogan in a world title match, and then 3 days later, wrestled for New Japan Wrestling with my hero against a Japanese legend.
So killed the American legend, killed the Japanese legend. Kind of hot shit, kid.
Exactly. But
What do we do?
NBD.
Hulk does his best not to expose the Giant as much as possible. Does his best.
Which is just him kind of running away a lot.
Yeah, and that's what's weird is like Hulk Hogan is not like stand your ground, fight babyface. So like Hulk Hogan comes off as the heel in this.
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah.
So I don't know
A whole lot of eye rakes on the
Well, Hulk's always done the eye rakes and the back rakes and stuff like that, you know, even as a babyface. But like him backing up so much and him dressed in all black and you know, this is very much like
No
a rah-rah. Yeah, no mustache, rah-rah babyface Giant coming out to I'm gonna get you, Hulk Hogan, for you throwing me off a building.
the building.
He's too strong, brother.
I meant to look and see how tall the Kobo Hall was, just to see how far the Giant can fall.
Listen, Bobby the Brain Heenan said 5 stories, so
It's not that tall.
Oh,
He could probably kick out of that then. Yeah, that's
He's
fine.
like the length of one story already.
So like he's only felt 4.
He's only got 4 to fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he felt 4 of himself.
Yeah. fine.
So that's, you know,
It's not a big deal.
And
1/4.
we don't know if he fell on the concrete side or the river side.
Might have fell on the
Or
water.
lake side. Yeah, might have fell on the water.
Really not enough questions, or enough answers to the questions.
But then they're even like, Bobby the Brain Heenan's like, does it make a difference if it's a parking lot or a lake? Does it make a difference?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
At that height, it totally makes a difference.
Tony's behind, he's like, yes, it does.
I killed a man off 2 stories. What? Nothing.
Moving on.
What'd you say? No idea where I am right now. Black out a second. Go ahead.
I've killed a man, but this is a 10.
Paige the Braid.
Paige the Brain right here, right there. Oh, this match is full of bear hugs. They even involve him biting the shoulder at one point in time during a bear hug.
Some like it rough.
Yes, I like it rough. And of course, Hulk Hogan broke the rule of 3 a lot. You know, he's like 1, 2, and then not a third
That's it, let
punch.
it
A
go.
lot of the like hit him once.
Because you got a bump
twice.
on 3.
Yeah, there's none of that. Then of course, big schmaz with Jimmy Hart getting involved, Lex Luger and Macho Man, who did battle earlier, and Lex Luger, he even cheated
Yeah.
to try and beat Macho Man.
But it's cool, they're bros now.
They're bros now, but then of course turns on him right away and starts beating him
A
up.
la Ric Flair.
This is betrayal number 3
Yeah.
of the program.
And
Then there it is.
There-
then
here-
it
here's-
happens.
then it happens. The Yeti.
The Yeti!
The Yeti is here.
Okay, it's a fucking mummy. Am I
It's a
wrong?
mummy.
It's a mummy.
The Yeti is a mummy.
It's not. It's a mummy.
My man.
Mummy. And they cuddle Hulk Hogan to death.
They cuddle.
They cuddle
They
him.
do.
The double
They just
barrel.
go.
Yeah.
They just like shake weight him to
The
death.
mummy. Yeah. The mummy orgasms on him.
Yes. he has a powerful orgasm.
They hug.
Power.
They cuddle. They ejaculate.
They do it to Macho Man as well.
Yeah.
Like, no, let's get into this sweet Macho Man
Yeah.
action.
Give a little bit to Mach.
Do a little bit of him.
He wants a little bit of the Yeti
Yeah.
booty.
He sure does. Yes, they hug him. They hug him to
they're
submission.
they're
They hug him to a
squeezed.
pulp.
And they do.
Like, surely, like, they had to have known what this looks like. Like, well, whose idea was it that, like, hey, give us a double bear hug?
Yeah.
When Miley Cyrus was looking for where to twerk, she copied the
She went to that.
the Yeti of
The
1995.
Yeti, she learned it from the Yeti. Yeti should be accredited for twerking.
The Yeti many powers include not being a Yeti and twerking.
Yes.
I would assume that kind of went something like, oh, just give him 2 bear hugs at the same time. Okay, cool, we'll do it out there. Giant's got the bear hug. Here comes the mummy. Mummy goes around the waist and wait a minute, this looks gay. And then moves the arms up. There, that's better.
Let me
But
thrust the
hey,
hips.
let's add a
Yeah.
hip thrust to it. That'll make it better.
Because we have to look like we're doing something
Yeah, let's-
as opposed to just embracing.
So in post-production, the guys were like, guys, next time we gotta rehearse.
Yeah. Oh.
Next time we gotta
Who
rehearse
called the
this shit.
London Bridge?
Yeah.
Who called that?
Improvisation, not your strong suit, guys.
So that murder was returned in favor by a rape. And not one police officer.
So unexpected murder is followed up by unexpected sex.
Yeah.
It's a fair trade.
And that's your main event.
Main event ends in a DQ because
Yeah.
Jimmy Hart is Hulk Hogan's manager. He hit the ref.
And because rape is against the law, everyone listening. Just because you see it on
Well, clearly the Detroit.
WCW.
Yeah, this is actually a rape PSA.
Even if you're a mummy / Yeti.
I don't care
Just
how
don't
that
rape.
mummy's dressed. Don't rape it.
just don't rape, or else
You get-
Ice-T's gonna come knocking on your
Yeah.
door.
You got Hulk Hogan in your clutches, you're thinking, this would be a nice rape. No,
No,
don't do it.
don't.
Don't rape.
Not at all.
Don't rape
Not
your
even if
Hulk
you're
Hogan.
giant friends. Like, no, it's a totally good idea.
And that's,
That is the
Yep.
pay-per-view.
And that's how we.
And that is how Detroit fell into the poverty-stricken area that it is today.
This is
one
why
rape and
Flint-
murder at a time.
Yes.
This is why Flint has bad water.
So-
That's all Yeti you're in.
Yes, that's exactly how it happened. It was Yeti urine finally seeping to the topsoil.
20 years later.
The Yeti fucked so much in that city.
Yeah.
Also, climate change. Yep.
That's a myth.
All Yeti.
Oh, Yeti.
That's what I said about the Yeti.
Yeah. He took it to that ass.
Yep.
Well, before we bear hug this episode into the can, any thoughts, favorite matches, things we like, things we never want to see again?
I never want to see Lex Luger again.
Well, considering the basis of this podcast, you're going to be seeing a lot of
Hell yeah.
So,
Which he actually returns from the last one. Most of Halloween Havoc 95 was WrestleMania 9's card.
yes.
A whole lot of reuses.
Yes, just a couple years later. Paige, your thoughts on this being your first wrestling show that you ever saw? Would this show encourage you to go, you know what? I want to watch more wrestling.
You know what? If Bobby the Brain is commentating.
Commentating.
Do what you want.
You know what?
These are your words.
I feel like Bobby the Brain right now. Forgetting words like something cool.
You know, when he does the thing and you're making the sign that you're putting on headsets.
I'm just gonna use it like a gesture that I'm speaking.
A gesture that you're holding a microphone.
Hey,
you know?
kind of. If Bobby the Brain is involved in any way, I would be into it.
Okay.
I'm not sure how much I love the monster trucks or the rape and murder, but Bobby the Brain, man.
That's where it's at.
I'm in his fan club from now until eternity.
I don't
Until the day
necessarily hate it for the rape and murder. I definitely didn't come for the rape and murder. I stayed for the Bobby the Brain Heat.
You were just looking at the channels and Law & Order SVU was on.
Yeah.
So, like, why
But
not?
there was a Yeti and a giant, and I didn't get it.
On my tombstone, I wanted to say, what do J&L stand for? Jerk and lunch?
Jerk and lunch.
That's just a quote to go out to. Bobby the Brain for mayor.
My brave president.
And then
2016.
they said that at one point, Bobby the Brain for mayor, and he said, just what I need, take a pay cut, live in a smaller house.
Yes, he
That was
did.
his
That's a
reaction
good
to
one,
being
too.
a mayor. All right.
He made Shivani read it to him.
Yeah.
So he threw up his own ball.
Oh,
Beautiful.
well, I think we did this one up.
We
did it right.
We did it.
This brings us to the end of this episode, and as always, in the future, as always, if there's any corrections or mistakes that we made,
Keep it to yourself.
Shut the fuck up.
avoid talking to Zane, but you can talk to
Or
me.
Paige.
You can talk or Paige. Leave her alone.
Or as they call us, the Yeti and the Giant.
You don't want to be between us.
Nope.
Please leave future Miss Bobby the Brain Heenan alone. She's got a very nice life and wonderful people, but you can bother me all you want. I'm used to it. You can tweet me on Twitter at ManscoutManning, or you can email me at jake@sslshow.com. And of course, make sure you check out the website, howdidthisgetbooked.com, and make sure you subscribe on iTunes and on YouTube as well, and any place you can subscribe as well. And just as a reminder, support the WWE Network, because a lot of the shows we'll be discussing will be on there. But also, too, do support the High Spots Wrestling Network, because that's where the next show that we will be watching, Zane, will be on. We'll be watching a show from 1999 with the Universal Wrestling Council, council with 2 L's for some reason.
Because it's ill-mannered.
And that show is available right now, because there's not a lot of places where it is available, and once you watch the show, you will know why. But it is available on the High Spots Wrestling Network, which is highspotswrestlingnetwork.com, under the How Did This Get Booked category. So you just go to that category, it's made, it's already up there right there. I put it up the other day. So go check that show out before you listen to the next episode of How Did This Get Booked. I am Jake Manning, and for Zane Riley and Paige, thank you so much for listening to another episode.